Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this reaction video. I'm going to react to a very important meeting that was held recently by Donald Trump and Zelensky, that is the president of Ukraine, as well as the president of the United States of America. Now, this is a good look at diplomacy and what diplomacy has become. As a diplomat myself, I'm very interested in how diplomats discuss and handle matters of national security and matters. So,
well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America and for the good of the world. I'm aligned with the world, and I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred, and I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the president of the United States' words mattered more than the president of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
we see that Trump talks about the hatred that the Ukrainian president has to Putin, and he mentions specifically that it's not very easy to deal diplomatically with somebody when you're bearing that much of hatred. And I do agree with President Trump, because in negotiations, first of all, you forget your emotions, you remove your emotions, and you have to deal with the person that you're dealing with at a logical manner. And I like the fact that there's a code to diplomacy, because in this world, what we need is diplomacy, and that's the only way we can use to solve these problems, rather than just mere prolonging of the war. Let's see what they have further discussing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2014.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
that's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken the ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems?
Now we see that President Zelensky seems to be questioning the U.S. diplomacy, questioning everything that the U.S. has done so far, questioning everything as if you are telling the U.S. you haven't done anything much, which in my analysis, as a person who's looking for assistance, you cannot go and downgrade the help that you are receiving, downgrade the assistance that you're being provided with, and also downgrade the diplomacy that the American people have tried. Even though on the other side, the diplomacy was to assist him with the war, but at the same time, it seems to be saying nothing was achieved in relation to Putin. But I think there are a lot of things that are misunderstood here. First of all, he himself, with the Minsk agreement that they had, they were supposed to fulfill their side of the story. Not only President Putin, but they were also supposed to meet the conditions that they agreed to. So the invasion happened because one side broke the agreement first, and then the other now stepped up because there was no agreement then later on. So we cannot say it's only President Trump or President Putin who broke the agreement, but also the other side of the agreement was broken by the European leaders together with President Zelensky. So that's the case. But I want you to see the body language that President Zelensky comes up. He folds his arms are folded, and it just brought a different attitude. I don't know what they discussed in the European meeting that they had, or what they advised him to come and speak to Trump about, but clearly his attitude, his body language is not at all professional and diplomatic at this stage. Let's see further what they discuss.
Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly
Remember
what
this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
This is the portion where Zelensky breaks his line of diplomacy. He breaks his line of diplomacy, and at the same time forces President Trump to also break his line of diplomacy, because now it's not a conversation. Now it's an argument, which these are two presidents who are not supposed to have such a conversation. In a normal conversation, you let one person speak, they finish, then you listen, then you respond. But in this case, while President Trump is talking, President Zelensky wants to talk, and then they go back and forth, which is quite not professional, I may say. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing.
Beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a
Brown,
good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards.
Playing cards.
But right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people. You're gambling with World War
What do you-
III.
what do you
You're
think about-
gambling with
what do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to you.
Far more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this.
I
You have a damn
We-
good chance of
we
coming.
are-
So the threats, I don't know what President Zelensky was thinking to threaten the other president in front of the people, the population. It was completely unnecessary to bring about that statement to say you have the ocean, you see what will happen. You cannot threaten another president like that. And at the same time, you're seeking assistance from him. That to me is really not professional, and it's sad that he's trying to find tactics to gain that support very quickly, but President Trump shuts it down very quickly and very good. But then now from this stage onwards, they are both completely undiplomatic. They've both lost their diplomatic code of behavior, diplomatic code of communication, and then it just goes into a scenario that I didn't like personally watching. So let's see how it goes further. And the Vice President Vance is really trying to calm the situation, to express to President Zelensky that you must be appreciative. You must be thankful for what the U.S. has been trying to do. Let's see what they discuss further.
Chance of
We
coming
are
out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said thank
stupid
you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment,
You
and your
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I
Again,
tell
you
you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of times
that
thank
there,
you
accept
to
that,
American people.
accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running
I
low
know.
on soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't, please,
you're running
Mr.
low on
President.
soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And then
President.
then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what-
that
what
wasn't
this
with me.
means. It
That was
wasn't
with
with you.
a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person.
This
That
is
was
your,
with,
this
that was
is
with
your
Obama.
president. It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
Clearly, President Zelensky doesn't have any chance to withstand Russia. Without the support of the US, without the support of the European Union, I don't think that war would really have lasted longer. And I can say this war hasn't been a serious war for Russia. It has been very conflicting for Russia itself as well, because these are brothers. These are their in-laws. There's a lot of intermarriages between Ukrainians and Russians, and it's one people. If you know the history, Russia started from Kiev. All the old Soviet cartoons started from Kiev. It's Kiev, which was the capital because before it was moved for the kings, for the Tsars of Russia then, to Moscow. But this is one people. These are all Slavian and one people, and I could say they are all Slavian or Russian people. And that is the reason why Putin hasn't gone all out. President Putin hasn't gone all out to clean up or finish up the war and completely blast off Ukraine, because there's an inner understanding that these are our brothers also. What he wanted to do was to just force President Zelensky, to come to the table and discuss and finish the discussion. But President Zelensky has refused to come to the table with the help of the advice that he received, the wrong advice that he received from the European leaders. And it's sad. It's sad that this war could have been avoided in actual sense.
The problem is, I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing.
There you have it, my friends. You can see President Zelensky's body language is not all that perfect. In some cases, he's rolling his eyes, is totally unprofessional. His body language is not so good, not so great at the moment, and the fact that he's rolling his eyes is sort of showing to the public that whatever President Trump is saying is nonsense, and that is not very diplomatic in a diplomatic sense, and it's sad that both of them ended up being very undiplomatic. In the case of President Trump calling President Biden stupid, him calling the other presidents, President Obama, bringing them into this conversation was completely unnecessary. He was not supposed to bring on and embarrass his former presidents by calling them not smart, stupid, or anything that he mentioned. It was not necessary. And this is not good because of the emotions that they both went through. First of all, one is trying to negotiate a deal, and one seems to come to the table half prepared, half ready, and he is not ready to accept the conditions that is being given to negotiate. In a negotiation, there's no win-win situation. There's what we call compromise. You compromise. You don't win. Whatever we call win-win, there's no win-win. There are consequences in each negotiations. There are losses in a negotiation, and that is why we call it a compromising situation. You have to compromise. So he has to compromise something for this war to end. Russia has to compromise. But again, there's no way, in my opinion, there's no way that Russia can give up the lands that it has hardly fought for, because people have died to win those pieces of lands. So in the negotiation, they must be ready. It would have been even much easier then if they negotiated just over Crimea. But now there are other sections and pieces of chunks of land that have been won through battle. Whatever you win through battle, you keep. Those are the rules of war. So there has to be a lot of compromise in this negotiation. And if you want to have a chance, the best route is to negotiate. For me, that's what I think. But here's a take on diplomacy. For me, this was an interesting analysis story to look at, discussion to look at in terms of diplomacy, because it was quite heated, and both of them left the diplomatic code of conduct, and that to me is very big in observation. Now we hope that we're gonna have next decisions made that will make this war to come to an end. My interest is for this war to end. Thank you. We'll see you next time. God bless. Good day.